We're here to talk about women and Andy's problems with them. Welcome to the Life on Books podcast. My name is Tony. With me, as always, is Andy, a.k.a. Metafictional Meathead.
Good morning, Tony.
Good morning. We've said this before. We'll say it again. We get comments, maybe less so now that we have such an extensive back catalog of episodes, but people are like, oh, you guys never talk about women's books and books written by women and so on and so forth. In fact, somebody said the other day, like, I don't know if I had sent it to you, the comment on my book unhaul video.
Okay.
And he's like, oh, I really like your content and you seem to be a discerning reader and whatever. I mean, it was overall, like, I think it was like a good faith comment.
Yeah.
But he's like, you know, based on this and some of the other videos I've seen, you seem to have a very U.S. male-centric reading. And I'm like, what? Like, that is probably the least accurate description of my reading life as you could make. And I pointed out, I said, look, these are all books that I have accumulated mostly for free. Like, people gave them to me. A lot of them were from when the bookstore in Northwood went out of business, and they let me go in there and just take whatever. Yeah. And I just grabbed a bunch of random stuff. And I was like, I've not read most of these, and now I'm giving them away. Like, this represents like my disinterests more than anything else.
Right.
So yeah, today we're talking just about women, because August is Women in Translation Month. I don't really recall the history of how this got started. Do you know who made this month, what it is?
I feel like we talked about this when we did a similar episode last year.
Yeah.
And I don't remember any of the details.
Cool.
So
great. We're very informed.
Yeah, go back and watch that episode.
Yeah, it was about a year ago that we did that. Time flies when you're podcasting. So today we're going to be talking about...
Time flies when you have a brain tumor.
We're going to be talking about a few books that we've read from women in translation since then that are noteworthy. I don't want to say our favorites.
Yeah.
And then some books that we would like to read that are translated from women authors. And I think I looked quickly... Since last August, I think I've read about 10 or 11 translated works from women authors.
Okay.
I don't know where you're at with that.
Less than that.
Yeah.
Probably more than I thought of originally. Mm-hmm. I know, when you messaged me, like, let's pick like 3 books that we've read translated by from women. Talk about those too, and I was like, I don't know if I've read that many, but. I was going around my library and kind of picking some out, and then I started to remember, like, oh yeah, I messaged you about one. I was like, hey, I gave you this. Can you pull it out? And I thought of like another 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So I'm probably in the 5 to 7 range. Certainly not as high as it could be. We've talked about this before. Like, I'm fully aware that it's a bit of a blind spot for me. Mm-hmm. Like, I have not read many books. I've read, books written by women in English or translated from other languages, but certainly not as many as I have that were written by men. Mm-hmm. And I sort of understand why. Like, if someone's just watching and not paying attention to anything we've said, they'd be like, "Oh, Andy only reads books written by men." Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, for better or worse, the types of books that I'm interested in, or I shouldn't even say the types, just the books themselves that I want to read tend to be, or I shouldn't say tend, but like just are written by men.
Yeah.
I
think there's a distinct difference between like not as many of the books you read are written by women as somebody who just straight up has never read a book by a woman or has literally only read one or 2.
Right.
That was a big thing on TikTok last year. There was this just kind of no name account, just some random person that, made a post about books basically saying like, oh, I just like the books that I like and it is what it is. But then it come to find out, like, they'd literally never read a book by a woman. It's just like, well, how do you know? You know what I mean? Like, that's probably not a coincidence at that point. That's probably just you having bias that you might not even be conscious of. So
Yeah, it's not like I'm going around the bookstore and being like, oh, this title sounds cool. Oh, it was written by a woman.
Yeah.
No thanks.
yeah,
You know, I just, if I'm like sitting at home or trying to think about what what I want to read next, and like I've been talking to someone about how really awesome this Krasnohorkai book is. Like, I want to read that Krasnohorkai book now. It's not like I'm like, no, I absolutely not. I can't read a book by a woman because I have to read that. Like, I want to read this. And
yeah,
I have said it before, like, life is too short to not read the books you're really interested in.
yeah, absolutely.
So, there have been plenty of times, maybe not plenty, but, a number of times where I'm like, I really want to read this book, and it happens to be have been written by a woman,
Yeah.
or translated from whatever language. It was originally written by a woman.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm going to read it.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll start with our weekly reading update. What have you been reading lately?
Kind of had a weird, busy week, so I haven't had as much time to read this week.
Yeah.
I've still been chipping away at the Combinations by Armand, and Middle C by William Gass for the book club. And last week we talked about books that we were looking forward to reading, and I had kind of said I'm not really sure if I'll actually end up getting to any of these.
Yeah.
And then I think that night I got home and started The Deserters by Mathias Enard, which was in that stack.
Nice.
It's a short book, and I was like, I'm reading a lot of big ones. This will be nice, and I like Enard, and it's been cool. I'm a little over halfway through, I think.
Nice.
So, yeah, have not picked up the Krasnohorkai this week. Still chipping away at that. Read a little bit of Gesell Dome earlier in the week. I think I read a little bit, maybe 10, 15 pages of Empty Wigs by Jonathan Meades.
Yep.
As well, which I'm enjoying a lot. I think I might put a pin in that and save it for, a rainy day.
Sure.
Just because it's a huge book, and I want to clear out my stack as much as I can before Schattenfroh arrives.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I'm at. Fortunately, haven't done a ton of reading this week. But
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah, same. I'm just reading Middle C and Moby Dick still. I had to go down to the Cape for work this past week, and I brought both of those with me. And I was like, I'll probably have 5 or 6 hours
Right.
Tuesday night in the hotel room. And then we ended up deciding to do some shooting that night. And I finished up. It was so hot. I was drenched in sweat.
Yeah.
I was just disgusting. And I go into my hotel room, and the AC had not been left on.
Oof.
So I put the AC on, which was, the way it was configured was a bit strange. It was in the bathroom. And so it just took a long time for it to get out to where I was going to be sleeping. And I was like, man, I'm just so hot. I can't even think. I didn't want to take a shower until it was a little bit cooler, because I didn't want to get out of the shower, still be hot, sweat more.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going to go buy a fan, so I have something to blow on me, because I'm just so hot. And as you know, on Cape Cod, there's not a whole lot of the nearest Walmart was maybe 20 miles away from where I was.
Yeah.
Because they're not big on big corporations. It's all local stuff there.
Right. Especially where you were staying in, you were probably in Yarmouth.
I was in Yarmouth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
you got to drive into Hyannis or Barnstable for something Hyannis for something like that.
There was a Target in Hyannis.
Yeah.
So I drove out there, and I got out there kind of late, just by the time I got my whole life together. And so they had nothing but $100 fans,
Right.
except they had these 2 little dinky ones that were $20 a piece. And I'm hemming and hawing over which one to get. So I was like, oh, this one looks a little bit nicer. So I grab it and I take it home. And I get back to the hotel room, and it requires assembly.
Oh, Jesus.
And I was like, Oh my God. It wasn't like super complicated, but there was
not something you wanted to be doing.
Right.
Yeah.
There was like 10 different pieces that you had to, this thing goes on this first, and then before you mount the blade. And I'm like, oh my God. So I finished like putting this thing together and took a shower. Now it's like 10:30 at night. And I'm like, well, I have to get up at 6 tomorrow morning. So I'm just going to go to bed.
Yeah.
So I basically didn't read it all.
Yeah. That's kind of how I've been. Not as, weird,
Yeah.
absurd difficulties with life, but just been getting back to like all my different training and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, get home from jujitsu at 7-ish, shower, eat. It's 8 o'clock. Not that that's super late, but I'm just like beat.
Yeah.
Kind of just want to flop.
Yeah, for sure.
So just kind of having to, as I get back into like normal pre-hospital routine, kind of reconfiguring that balance that I had some semblance of before all that happened. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's good that you're back in the swing of things. Before we dive in, I'll just note that because August is Women in Translation Month, we are reading a translated work from a woman for August, and we are reading The Kukotsky Enigma by Ludmila Ulitskaya, and it's translated by Diane Nemec Ignashev. This is from Northwestern University Press. I've read 2 other books that they've put out, and both of them were fantastic. So I have very high hopes for this because they seem to pick some good ones. And this, let's see here. This won some awards. I want to say it won like the Russian Booker Prize, and then apparently was also adapted into a television show.
Oh, cool.
So that's cool. And if you are watching this, later than August 1, you can jump into the book club anytime. We record our live calls. There's, lots of discussion threads and Discord. So a lot of people actually participate after the fact, and there's still lots of resources for them. So let's start with the books that we've read since last August.
Okay.
What do you want to go for first here?
I'm just going to go in order of how I stacked them. First up is, Ultramarine by Mariette Navarro. That is from Deep Vellum, and it was translated from the French by Eve Hill Agnes.
Nice. A lot of people read that this year.
Yeah, it's a really cool book. I mean, it's short. I think I read it in mostly one sitting.
Mm-hmm. You've been on a high seas kick here with Moby Dick and North Sun and this one.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I didn't like really intentionally fit this one in with that theme. I just, someone sent it to me. It's a short book. I was told it was a relatively quick read. Was not super difficult. A bit of a page turner. There is this kind of tension to it that I was like, oh, what's going on here? Like, I didn't really want to put it down. And
yeah,
like I said, they're relatively short chapters. I mean, some of them are only, most of them are about like 7 pages, 5-7 pages.
Nice.
And they're mostly just kind of like broken up paragraphs. So, nothing like super, super dense about the prose. But yeah, really, really compelling novel.
And what's it roughly about other than being on the ocean?
So it is about a female ship captain, which is obviously a very male dominated field.
Sure.
And they're, transporting cargo from point A to point B, which is this actual locations are referenced in the book. I just don't remember them. And they're, out in the middle of the Atlantic, and everything is going well. They're making great time and things like that. And the captain is like, oh, we'll do something nice for the crew. So she kind of stopped for the day and like let them go out and swim in the ocean and things like that. And obviously, situation like that, they do a head count before everyone jumps into the water.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 20 of them. And then she's like, all right, that's enough. You've had your fun. We got to get back to work. So they all come back in and they do a head count, and they keep getting 21.
Oh, interesting.
So trying to figure out that like mystery. How did they gain a passenger?
That's a unique kind of twist. I wasn't expecting you to say.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say there's 19.
No.
Right.
No.
That's cool. Makes me want to read it.
Yeah. So you get kind of that kind of psychological thriller of like,
Yeah.
is there a stowaway? Is there some creep that's trying to do something nefarious?
Right.
And then you also get her kind of battling with this, the struggles of being a woman in a male dominated field. And you learn that the protagonist's father was also a successful captain, and she's dealing with like people thinking that she's more or less a nepo baby, and
Right.
whether she is or isn't actually talented at her job and things like that. So you get that personal struggle mixed with the kind of psychological thrill of where did this extra person come from.
Cool.
So, but like I said, short, page turner, great book.
Have you ever seen Below Deck?
No.
It's a reality series. I think it's on E or one of those types of networks.
I'm familiar
Bravo.
I'm familiar with what it is. I just haven't seen it.
There is an iteration of that where there is a woman who is the captain of the ship.
Yeah.
And I don't really, watch it religiously, but I've caught an episode here or there.
You're addicted to it. This is a safe space, Tony.
Yes. You know me, big reality TV guy. But there was a woman. Well, so I was at a conference with Sam, a financial advisor conference a couple years ago. And I was doing photos, and there was this woman there. I'm like, this woman looks really familiar. And then I was talking to Gunnar, and it turns out that she was on the show.
Nice.
I don't remember if she was on the version with the woman as the captain, but she was on Below Deck for a season. It was pretty funny.
All right.
So it's just so random. It was not what I expected to see, because they're always in like Greece or Australia.
Right.
We're at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut.
Yeah.
My first book is from our friends over at Open Letter. It's Natural Causes by Nina Lykke, and this is translated from the Norwegian by B.L. Crook. So this is probably one of, if not maybe my favorite Open Letter that I've read.
Nice.
It's about a primary care doctor, and she's probably in her 50s, and she's just like burnt out on her career, burnt out on her marriage. And she's got this, skeleton made of plastic in her office, as many doctors do. And she starts to imagine that like the skeleton's talking to her, and basically just like telling her how terrible of a person she is because she's like rude to her patients, and she's like ruining her life by ruining her marriage. And so, if you've been through like the medical ringer and you've experienced like doctors who are just jaded and burnt out, like you'll probably relate to this book quite a bit. It's incredibly funny. It's also a little bit sad, but I just thought it was a really fun, compelling story. I recommend it to everybody when people ask for like Open Letter recommendations, and I don't think anyone's ever reported back that they didn't enjoy it. So take that for what it's worth, but also short. If you're a fast reader, you could probably read it in a day or two. So
nice.
Yeah. What do you got next?
Up next, I also have one from Open Letter. This is Rina by Kang Young-sook, translated from the Korean by Boram Claire Kim.
And I believe it's Kang.
Excuse me.
It's always a
great. I'm gonna get crucified again. So
now no one reads women, so no one will know.
No one's gonna even listen to this episode because they hate women so much.
Yeah.
So this is about a young girl and her family defecting from a country that is, it's never like explicitly stated, but you get the feeling it's North Korea.
Sure.
And they're trying to get to South Korea.
Okay. Which is not easy to do.
Right. So more or less what this book is about is their struggle, particularly hers, getting from North Korea allegedly to the South.
Yeah.
And just kind of all the trials and tribulations of that. Very compelling. I was not over the moon about this book. I thought it was good, not great. Other people might like it more than I did. I certainly enjoyed it. I think what kind of threw me for a loop, on the back here, and when I saw about it online, Rina is a pioneering work of Korean postmodernism. So I kind of expected something a little bit more
postmodern.
Yeah, more or less, without getting into a digression on what that means.
Yeah.
But it's really just like a straightforward narrative. It's good and it's well written and things like that. But I think I was maybe expecting something a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of tough moments. Emotionally, kind of like I said, they're going through the struggles of trying to defect to a better country during a time of conflict.
Yeah.
So,
for those that don't know, the demilitarized zone between the North and the South, it spans all the way from east to west between the two countries, and it's like, I don't know, 40 miles or maybe even more than that. And then it's not that long or wide north to south. Like at some points they can like see each other.
right.
I think at some other points it's further apart, but it's like just completely laced with landmines.
Yeah.
There's really no way to get across without being seen because there's just not much there.
Right.
So what people have to do is they have to go across, I think it's the Yangtze River maybe, and into China, down from northern China into southern China, and then across into the South Korean border, which is very hard to do, because particularly because most North Koreans don't speak Chinese,
Right.
which makes it difficult. So there's some crazy books about it. My personal favorite is a nonfiction. It's called Dear Leader. And it was effectively like, to date, the highest ranking person in the North Korean government to ever defect. And his job was to write like propaganda that was going to be like fed into South Korea, I think, to make North Korea look better. So, or maybe the inverse of that. But he took this book home from like the federal archive that was like not supposed to leave the building, and then it got like found out that he had taken it off premises, and he thought he was like going to be executed, so he just bounced. And it's an insane story. Yeah, definitely worth checking out. Okay, my next book is actually a nonfiction. This is a essay collection called Sexographies by Gabreila Wiener, translated from Spanish by Lucy Greaves and Jennifer Adcock. Wiener she was originally Peruvian, I think, but now I think she lives in Spain. Yeah, she's just a journalist, and this is a collection of essays. The reason I grabbed this book, it's from Restless Publishing, which is a really cool indie publisher. They have a great collection. They actually published a Will Evans translation, the owner of Deep Vellum. But
are they a Deep Vellum imprint?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. But maybe. Who knows at this point. There's an essay in here about her going to a Peruvian prison. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting because obviously everything going on right now with El Salvador and all that.
Why? What's going on?
Nothing at all. And so I was like, oh, this, I don't know about the rest of these essays, but I want to read that one. That ended up being like my least favorite one.
Oh.
And the opening essay is probably my favorite. It's about this sex guru in Peru / some other country in South America, because they had to move around a little bit because of their lifestyle. But this guy had like 7 wives. And she was just like, what is the deal? Like, I want to know what's going on. And so she goes and spends like a weekend with them at their like compound. It's very bizarre, but
sounds like it.
Very interesting. And just as a fun little aside, when you make short form content in particular, the first thing you say is like the most important thing, the hook. If you don't like catch people's attention. And so sometimes I don't really know what's going to catch people's attention. So I said, This is exactly the type of book this administration would love to ban, and people got big mad about that. Oh, you also have a pink book.
I have two, actually.
Damn.
I've only read one of them. We'll get to it.
Okay.
Another book that I recently read is The Chandelier by Clarice Lispector.
So progressive.
Yeah. Reading pink books written by women. This was her second novel. Kind of went a little bit under the radar. She, kind of cut flame with Near the Wild Heart.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't want to say toiled away in obscurity, but her next three books weren't really as popular as that.
Yeah.
And then, the fifth book was Passion According to GH, which really took off. Everybody loved that one. But this is about a young girl and her kind of cruel brother, and they grow up in this kind of decaying house on a farm. I don't say the middle of nowhere, but a rural area.
Yeah.
And they leave for the city, and the woman is kind of expecting like, oh, this is going to be this fresh change. Like I'm going to be this new person, and how many of us have all had that thought of like, I'm just going to pick up and move, and my life will be totally better, and everything will change, and it'll all work out.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't. It's kind of. Again, kind of a situation we've all run into of like, you're still the same person, just in a different location.
Yep.
So kind of
still have to deal with who you are.
right. So that's essentially what this book is about, is this woman being forced to deal with who she is because, again, nothing really changed for her internally, at least.
Yeah.
It was good. I wasn't. It certainly didn't like grab me and. Resonate with me as much as her other books have, probably because I was reading Moby Dick at the same time, and that's really all I wanted to read.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to be like, no, I need to take a break from MD for a day and read some of this. But yeah, it's a good book. I think if you're new to the Spectre or just kind of want, the quick hits, then you can probably skip that. But if you are like me and are trying to be a completionist and really love her work, then it's totally worth a read.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned like her first book did well and then it kind of tapered off, or she had like early on success. I was just watching an interview with Paul Harding, the author of Tinkers, and they were talking about when he won the Pulitzer, and like he had zero idea that he was like even up for it.
Yeah.
And so he was just like, yeah, I like to keep up with the prizes and what's going on. And I knew it was being announced that day. He's like, so I sat down my computer and like loaded up the website, and it wasn't like posted yet. And so he's like, a few minutes later, I like refreshed the page and it said Tinkers by Paul Harding. He's like, I thought somebody was like trolling me, like somebody had hacked my computer, or like made a fake website or something.
Right.
And the guy that was interviewing was like, oh, it must have been really tough to like have to write a follow-up to a Pulitzer Prize winning debut. And he was just like, I mean, that's a problem that I loved to have.
Right,
like,
right.
It's like, yeah, of course you want to continue to put out quality work, but honestly, like most people don't get close to that. So
right.
He's like, that's fine with me.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot, not necessarily because of this book, but just because of some others I've read, and thinking about this. There's this passage in 2666, and I cannot remember which character is talking about this, but he's talking about this idea of like when you're reading literature, if you're truly a fan of it and want to get the most out of it, especially if you're reading like the masters and the classics, you can't just read the hits.
Yeah.
You can't just read the books where they figured it out and they caught lightning in a bottle and put out this incredibly profound work and had a ton of success with it and really hit the mark. You have to read the books where they tried something, maybe they missed, maybe they hit something, but not as on target as they did in the great works. You know?
Yeah.
You can't just read the I said, you can't just read the hits. You have to read the books that are good, not great.
I would also say that sometimes it's like the books that endure is not because they're the best works. There's so many factors,
Right.
Just commercial viability and success a lot of times. I mean, there's people that say that Moby Dick is not Melville's best book.
Right.
But you grab random people off the street, you'd be like, have you ever heard of Moby Dick? They'd be like, yeah, name another Melville book. I don't know. Couldn't even name one,
Right.
So.
I remember one time you did that at the gym. We were both there and like, can anyone name
Oh, really?
anything other than Moby Dick that Melville wrote? And I think I had just gotten a copy of The Confidence Man. And I was just like rattling. I was like, it's like, oh, Confidence Man, Pierre, Billy, just like firing off all these things. And you're like, all right, well, me, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So
I'm probably a poor sample size for that question.
Definitely.
Though.
Yeah. Another open letter that I've read recently is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Naya Marie Eit. And, this was originally written in Danish and translated by K.E. Semmel. We actually had K.E. Semmel on the podcast. You can go and listen to that interview with him. It was fantastic. He's a very interesting guy. We read this for the book club. Initially, I did not love it to begin with. And then by the end of it, I was totally in. And then probably like a book that, like, you ever finish a book and you just have like, you just can't stop thinking about it intensely. That was exactly the experience I had. I think I finished it on like a Friday night, and then like all weekend I was just like brewing on this, and just like almost like angry. I don't know. It was a weird book with a weird ending, but ultimately I think Naya is a very talented writer.
Cool.
And listen, having the conversation with Kay Semmel was also enlightening as far as learning more about the process. And one of the funny things about this book is, when we were reading it, a lot of people in the club were saying like, oh, this feels like it could be in like Chicago or New York City or Boston. It doesn't necessarily feel like it's Europe or Denmark. And she actually wrote it when she was living in the U.S. And her intention, what Kay Semmel told us, was that she wanted it to like kind of be the book that could be a story that happened anywhere, not necessarily like, oh, this is very Danish, you know? So that was kind of interesting, but he's translated quite a few Danish works. And some other weird stuff about this too, like at one point the tense changes from past tense to present tense, which gives a kind of an interesting vibe to the book. So it's unique.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're on to the books we haven't read.
Oh, yes.
So
our favorite topic.
Yeah. Up first, I've got from Charco Press, Time of the Flies by Claudia Pinheiro, translated by Francis Riddle. Let's see. It's translated from Spanish. Pinheiro was born in Buenos Aires. Let's see. 15 years after killing her husband's lover, Inez is released from prison and left to put together a new life. Her old friend Manka is out too, and together they've started a pest control and private investigation business by women for women. But Senera Bonar, one of her clients, wants Inez to do more than kill bugs. She wants her expertise and her criminal past to help her get revenge on someone. So, and then the protagonist's estranged daughter shows up, and, things aren't what they seem. And there's all these tales of crimes against women, crimes by women, and just complex loyalties and friendships and relationships and stuff. Dark, intense, intelligent, and suspenseful.
I love the font that Charco Press uses on their books. I think it's very
all
very
of their
handsome.
books look really cool.
They have a cool logo too.
They do.
I don't know if I have any of their books. I think the only one I've read was did they publish that one by Fulgentus or whatever?
No.
Oh, who was that published by?
That was New Directions.
Oh, was it New Directions?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I don't have any other books then.
They are based out of the UK, I believe, or at least somewhere in Europe.
Oh, yeah. I think they had a sale last year, and I was like, oh, cool. And then I looked, and it was like, oh, the shipping is going to be just as much as the books.
Yeah. But you can find some of their books, at stores in the U.S.
Yeah.
But yeah, just because of the shipping, I haven't ordered anything from them directly.
Yeah. Charcoal Press, send me some books.
Me too.
And Andy. So next is another open letter. This is Vladivostok Circus by Elisa Dusapin, published by Open Letter and translated from the French by Abbas Higgins. So Elisa Dusapin is probably most famous for Winter and Sakcho, which both of us have read, which is won the Booker Prize, right? Something like that.
Sounds right.
And or the National Book Award, something like that. And it's Open Letter's best-selling book, according to Open Letter's director, Chad Post. We both read it. I think we were both kind of like, yeah, it was fine. But that's actually a book that's kind of like grown on me in the sense that I think about it from time to time. So I'm definitely interested in reading another book from her. And Winter and Sakcho has one of my favorite covers on it. I think it's such a cool looking book. And this one does as well. It's got the person doing this crazy back bend, and white and red, I think, looks sick.
Totally.
And this one is about a woman who just graduates college and in Geneva, and then she goes to the Vladivostok Circus to become like their seamstress or like costume designer.
Yeah.
And then I don't really know exactly what happens from there, but what ensues is an intimate and beguiling account of four people learning to work with and trust one another. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Winter and Sakcho won the National Book Award for Translated Lit.
Cool. Glad we got that right.
Yeah.
My stack is heavy on Open Letter because they exclusively publish translated works.
Yes.
And every summer they have a 40% off or 30% off, 30% off sale on their works from women that have been translated or translated by women. So you can go purchase those right now if you're listening to this in August.
Yeah.
So what do you got next?
I have a book from Open Letter.
Nice.
This is Aban Sabina David by Marguerite Duras. She's French. Translated from the French by
French people.
Kazim Ali. Short little book.
We are not sponsored by Open Letter.
Just big fans.
Just big fans.
Just kidding. Chad has paid us a small fortune.
Well, and free books. Although I've probably bought just as many as he's sent to us for press.
The scale is drastically weighed in favor of the books that I've purchased.
Yeah.
So it's about these two people. David is obviously a male name. I'm assuming that's a male character. I don't know about Sabina.
That's a woman's name,
Yeah.
I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So a man and a woman, communists arriving at a country house, and they meet this person, Aben, who is a man they've been sent to watch over and ultimately kill for his transgressions against the Communist Party.
Nice.
And then
since we're big communists on this
Right.
show, we're obviously a fan of this.
Right.
Yeah.
And then a fourth person, another man named Abin, shows up, and they all just spend the night not arguing, but debating capitalism, violence, revolution, all these things. And then, the events kind of transpire that the two characters originally went to the country house to take part in. That those things kind of transpire or something along those lines takes place. And it says it's suspenseful and thought-provoking.
Sign me up.
Yeah, buddy.
I will say, about Open Letter, in addition to obviously everything being translated, they also really go for some of the most experimental books
Yes.
I think I've ever read. Like every single book I've read / when you read just the synopsis on them, it's like, this is weird. Like I have one on my shelf from, oh God, I forget her name, but it's like the synopsis says, it's called High Tide. I'll have to look up the
I have
author.
that one as well, I believe.
And it's like the story is like told in reverse, and you're like, okay, I don't know how that works, but cool.
Yeah.
So nice. Next for me is from NYRB. This is The Last Words from Montmartre by Chu Maojin. This is probably one of the most controversial books I have ever posted about on the internet because she was born in Taiwan. And whenever you mention Taiwan on the internet, you get a war raging in your comments between people who believe that Taiwan is just part of China, or people that see it as its own country, and people who take offense to people being born in Taiwan referring to themselves as Taiwanese because they're not indigenous or ethnically Taiwanese. So yeah, that's always fun.
I think I have one of her other books.
Yeah, the other ones get crocodiles on it.
Yes,
Yeah,
that I have that.
I've heard that's excellent as well.
I have too.
I forget what it's called. Something about crocodiles, right?
Yes.
You want to look it up? So this one is QIU.
Notes of a Crocodile.
Notes of a Crocodile. There you go. So this one is about a queer couple of women, I think, traveling around. She was, I think, one of the earliest kind of openly gay writers in Taiwan. This was originally written in the 80s, I want to say. Let me just double check that. And then she went on to take her own life, the actual author. So this was published in 96. So it was published posthumously and translated in 2014 by Ari Larissa Heinrich. And it sounds morbid to say, but if you look at authors who have taken their own lives, published authors that have taken their own lives, they're some of the best authors.
They tend to have some great work available.
I'm not saying there's a direct correlation to those things. I'm not encouraging anybody to
You're such a monster.
partake in the act to canonize their work. But we had this discussion in the book club one time just about how big the list is.
Yeah.
And I kind of started to make a little bit of a list, which is also a bit of a morbid activity. But it was just like, oh my God, these are some incredible writers. Right. So, I think that people who have done that probably, led exceptionally interesting lives and were probably very in tune with the world and observing what's happening in the world. And I think that can give people really good insight. Going back to the issue of, Taiwan, I think this isn't super relevant, but it was interesting. Like there was somebody on Instagram in particular that was very, very upset with me referring to this person being Taiwanese. And the thing is like, I understand that Taiwan, much like many other places in the world, has been colonized, brutalized by bigger powers, and then with China in particular, it kind of happened in like two phases where there was like the initial colonization, probably 150, 200 years ago, but then when the nationalists led by Chiang Kai-shek were taken over by the communists run by Mao, they all fled to Taiwan. And that was in the 1950s or 60s. And so they still to this day kind of maintain like they're the legitimate Chinese government. But for somebody that like is just describing what this book is, like this person was born in the place that most of the world calls Taiwan.
Right.
We don't call Germany Deutschland. We call it Germany. So, people just get really sensitive about it. And I understand it's a sensitive topic, but like, don't shoot the messenger here. Right. I'm just saying that this is where this person was from.
Right.
So, and to people that are born in China, or excuse me, in Taiwan that are of Chinese ethnicity, like they call themselves Taiwanese. They don't call themselves Chinese. They don't have Chinese citizenship. They can't just like hop over to mainland China. It would be like people demanding that I do not refer to myself as American. I refer to myself as Italian because I'm not indigenous. You know, it's just like, it's just not the world that we're living in. So
Yeah.
my rant is now over.
Okay. I have another book from Open Letter. This is Everything Happens as It Does by Albana Stembolova. Translated from the Bulgarian by Olga Nikolova.
That's a mouthful.
Sure is. I think this woman, Albina, is also a psychologist. Or I did a quick Google just to make sure, just to confirm that it was written by a woman. And when you Google someone's name, it kind of comes up with their. I Googled Dura and it came up as French novelist. And Stembolova came up as a Bulgarian psychoanalyst.
Oh, cool.
So, but it's about a bunch of characters that kind of get together and builds from the idea that, as the title suggests, everything happens exactly the way it must.
Okay.
That's kind of how life kind of unfolds in the way it's supposed to.
It's very Robert Sapolsky-esque.
Yeah. So.
You see that?
Yeah.
That's a sick cover.
Yeah.
With the insects making up the silhouette there.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, the other nice thing about Open Letter, again, we're not sponsored, is a lot of their books are quite short.
Yes.
So, it makes it kind of easy to just like sample some different stuff and,
Right.
you don't have to like commit to reading these gigantic novels. In fact, I can't even think of anything that they've even published that's like more than 500 pages.
Yeah, I mean, I've been reading Gesell Dome, which is just over 600.
Okay.
And I know
It doesn't look that long by how the physical size of the book.
Yeah, it looks like it'd be closer to the like 500 range.
Yeah.
I think Maidenhair, the novel they had translated from Russian, is a little over 5.
Is that Russian or is it German?
Russian.
Oh, it is. Okay.
But other than those two, I can't think of many that are. The Invented Part is 500 something.
Just the first
First of 3.
First of the 3.
Yeah, I don't.
Single book. Is that long? Wow.
I don't know how long the other 2 are.
Gotcha.
I think they're around similar length. Just having seen people posting.
Yeah.
The trilogy.
Jeff from the book club just ordered the 3rd one, not knowing that
he talked about. He and I have talked about that.
He like sent a picture of it to Buddy and I, and Buddy's like, "Did you read the other 2?" And he's like, "What?"
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's funny. So the next one that I have here is Death Takes Me by Cristina Rivera Garza. This came out this year, or at least the translation.
I totally forgot I have that. I probably would have put it in my stack.
Yeah, it's from Hogarth Publishing, translated from Spanish by Robin Myers and Sarah Booker. So was it Jonathan Golding who had told us about this book? He had said that like
I know he told me about it, and then I think I went down the chain.
I think he made a post about it that caught my eye, and he was saying how like the marketing on this was kind of off.
Okay.
And it was like kind of pitched and marketed like more of like a book talk girly book. And he's like, it's really a little bit more intense than that.
Yeah. I think I remember him saying, I don't know if it was just like in conversation with me or part of his review, but there were parts of it that reminded him of 2666, which is what caught my attention.
Yeah. I really don't know anything about it other than people whose taste I trust say they liked it. And it won the Pulitzer Prize. Or she won the Pulitzer Prize, I believe, for a nonfiction.
Not for that book.
Not for this book, but I think she won for a nonfiction that she wrote. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, I don't read a ton of new releases, but this one is like one that I've been kind of eyeing every time I'm coming close to pulling a new book off the shelf. So
Yeah. To the best of my recollection, the narrative is about a woman whose profession I can't remember off the top of my head, if she's like a journalist or some kind of detective, but kind of looking into a serial killer or a string of killings, with all these different people that have been killed, either where the body is found or something like that. They keep finding these poems. Like, the killer allegedly kind of left like a calling card.
yeah.
Or at least there's a series of poems that kind of seem to connect all of these different killings, and it's about the woman trying to connect everything and make sense of it and solve what's going on. At least I think that's the synopsis. It sounds close enough.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we're just guessing because we haven't read any of these.
right. Absolutely.
All right. What do you got next?
All right. This one I have definitely talked. I think I mentioned this last year when we did this same theme.
Probably.
So clearly I haven't read it. Is Trist by Dasa Drinjic, who is a Croatian author.
It's actually Trieste, and it's Daja Drndic.
All right. Shut up. So it's about a woman hanging out in a cafe in northeastern Italy while she's waiting to be reunited with her son after 60 some odd years. Her son, who was fathered by an SS officer and stolen by the German authorities.
Tale as old as time.
Yeah, so kind of reflecting on her family's experiences in Nazi Germany and the details of Italian Jews that were killed in concentration camps, which doesn't get talked about very often.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why. One of the things I liked about If This Is a Man by Primo Levi, because he was an Italian Jew. So it's just a little bit of a different perspective than what you typically get from those types of stories and memoirs.
Yeah, but this was one of my nominations for the August Book Club,
which did not win.
The one I really hoped would win.
Yeah, I think it came in second. Yeah. We use ranked choice voting because we're very progressive.
Yeah. But one of the things, I mean, I had been interested in this book for a while. Rikarsh is a big fan of her work.
Oh, cool.
So kind of led me to her. But
oh man, if I had let that be known to the club, that probably would have pushed the vote over the edge because it only lost by like 4 points.
All right, we gotta hold we gotta do a recount. But one of the things that I heard about this book that kind of increased my interest. So there's a section of just over 40 pages that is just comprised of a single list, and you can see the camera won't pick it up, but it's like four, it's 4 columns. It's not just one running list. So there's quite a bit, but it's a list of the names of about 9,000 Jews who were deported from Italy or killed in Italy or Italian countries by the Nazis between 1943 and 1945.
Oof.
So the person that was reviewing the book,
turn that mic towards you a little bit more.
I wanted to say it was Travels Through Stories.
Yeah.
But we're kind of talking about how, when you're obviously one of the themes of the book or the ideas of the book is kind of how the plight of the Italian Jews is more or less forgotten or not talked about very much. So when you're reading the book and you come to this section, you kind of have this moral equation of, okay, do I kind of just skim through and, oh, that's a lot of, just kind of more or less skip this chunk of 40 pages to get back to the narrative and continue that history of ignoring these victims, or do you take the time to read through 9,000 names and really sit with the discomfort of, holy shit, there's 9,000 people that were...
Yeah. So they're real names.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many pages does that take up?
about 40, a little over. So, you know, you kind of have that like balance of like, all right, you have to kind of face the morality of it.
Yeah.
And it kind of puts the onus on you as the reader,
Yeah.
which I think is cool.
Yeah, it's definitely one that I wouldn't have been sad if that had won. I actually thought it would.
Me too.
But,
Me too.
you know, such is life. Okay, next.
Sarah, or whatever.
Next is Agat by Marlene van Niekerk. And this was translated by Michiel Hines. And this is from Tin House Books. So this is about Marlene van Niekerk is a South African author. And this is in the waning days of South African apartheid. Milla, a 67-year-old white woman, is condemned to silence by a creeping paralysis as she struggles to communicate with her maidservant turned caretaker, Agat. The complicated history of the relationship is revealed. Like life for white farmers in 1950s South Africa was full of promise. Young and newly married, Milla carved her own farm out of a swath of Cape mountainside. And she earned the respect of male farmers in her community and raised a son. And so, yeah, it's basically just kind of about the dynamic of the rampant racism in that era. I've heard that Van Niekerk is a fantastic writer. She's got another book that's much more famous than this one. I'm blanking on it right now. But this was blurbed by Toni Morrison on the front. I was immediately mesmerized. Van Niekerk's achievement is as brilliant as it is haunting. So, and then I mentioned this in a video, like a book haul video, probably a year ago now, and literally yesterday somebody commented on that and said, "I just finished reading this book and it's amazing."
Nice.
So,
the other book that is in the first paragraph of her Wikipedia page is Triumph.
I don't know if that's the one I was thinking of, to be honest.
But let's see.
What else is in her bibliography?
Memorandum, a story with paintings.
No.
So she's published 3 novels. And then some poetry, which I don't think any of the poetry has been translated. And
Well, maybe I imagined
some
it.
short story collections. 2 of the 4 have been translated.
Which ones?
The Snow Sleeper and The Swan Whisperer.
It must have been the first one you mentioned, but anywho, yeah, heard it's great. So
Cool beans.
yeah. All right, last one for you.
Last one for me is Lies and Sorcery by Elsa Morante, translated from the Italian by Jenny McPhee. And this is from NYRB.
That's a nice looking book.
Yeah. Well, it's NYRB, so.
What is this exactly? Oh, it's like a little painting of an oddly small person holding a cat. Is that what that is?
Yes. And then, 2 women kind of whispering to each other.
What do you think they're talking about?
Lies and sorcery.
Oh, right.
It's story set in Sicily, and it follows a young girl who's orphaned and raised by a, quote, fallen woman, kind of living in this imaginary world of her own. And then the, quote, fallen woman dies, and Eliza, the young woman, has to kind of abandon this fantasy life that she created and confront the truth of her family's tortured and dramatic history.
Wow.
So
intense.
Seen a couple people on the gram talk about it. I don't know when the last time I saw like an actual review for it was, but
yeah,
I know a handful of people said they were excited about it when it came out, and so
cool.
Plus, I have read 1 book by an Italian author,
which is The Stronghold by Dino Buzzati.
Okay, 2 books by an Italian author.
What's the other one?
The other one was I cannot think of the title off the top of my head, but it was by Natalia Ginsburg. I want to say it was The Dry Heart.
Never heard of it.
I know it was something short from New Directions.
Okay.
I think it was about a woman that killed her husband.
Yeah, I haven't read a ton of Italian. Primo Levi obviously was Italian. I've read, I guess, technically 3 of his books, but really 2, because If This Is a Man / The Truth is
right.
often combined. And And I also read The Drowned and Saved, which was wild. And then I've read Tartar Step. I'll have to look at my list. I got a list somewhere.
Yeah.
But definitely not as much as I should. I've never read any like Umberto Eco, which I should. But okay, my last book is The End of August by Yu Miri. And this one is translated from Japanese by Morgan Giles. So what's interesting about Yu Miri is she's actually a Korean author, but she writes in Japanese.
Okay.
Which is a little different. And she, let's see. Apparently the translator is a co-recipient of the 2020 National Book Award for Translated Literature.
Right on.
Yep. And this is the reason why I want to read this is I like Asian literature and particularly, Korean and Japanese, but this is about a Korean athlete during Japan occupied Korea's era. And then they've qualified for the Olympics, but they have to represent Japan in order to go. So they have this, kind of moral conundrum because obviously you don't want to necessarily go represent your occupier.
Right.
Because Japan was not really great to Korea. So this is, 1940s, which would have been, that was the Hitler Olympics, right? So, just kind of an interesting, concept for a book. And Yu Miri has also won the National Book Award. I forget which book. You want to look it up? I don't think it says here.
UYU.
It's YUMIRI. Oh, Tokyo Ueno Station, I believe, is what she won it for, which I've heard is excellent as well.
Yes, that won the National Book Award for Translated Lit.
Yeah, I've heard Tokyo Ueno Station's excellent. I've heard mixed reviews about this. Some people I've seen say they loved it. Some people said it was kind of humdrum, but I love the subject matter, so I'm going to read it regardless of the haters. All right. And that's from Riverhead Books. They publish some cool stuff.
Yeah.
So, which translated women's literature are you going to be reading this month? Let us know. Don't forget, if you're listening to this in August, you can go to Open Letters website and get 30% off from their entire catalog of women in translation, either written by women or translated by women, which is quite a few of their books.
Yeah. The translated by women adds a lot
for
to
sure
to the options.
Yeah.
I remember when I went a little wild last year with the
Same.
sale,
Yeah.
as we are wont to do. And there were a lot of books to choose from. So
yeah. Don't forget, you can join our book club. Link is down below. You can read some of these fantastic books with us. In addition to the monthly book club book that we read, we have like clubs within clubs in our club. So there's a lot of like buddy reads going on, friend reads of all kinds of different stuff. We have discussions about music, movies, politics, our pets, hobbies, photography, traveling,
brain tumors.
There's about 300 people-ish, give or take, in the club. So a lot of great people to connect with. It's a very chill, tight-knit community. Always welcome to open arms to other readers from around the world. We have people from the U.S. We have people from Central and South America, the U.K., Germany, France, Australia, Slovakia, Bulgaria, all over the place. So anything else you want to say, Andy?
Not really.
All right. See you next week.